Yes, sir. Another week, another Anvil Live. We're going to talk about the news that is L'Jarius Sneed. And oh, yeah, by the way, he's not signed to the Colts. He's actually signed to the Titans. Holy shit. We'll talk about what's going on with the division as a whole. Perhaps, maybe, who's the best, who's the worst. And last but not least, owner meetings are kicking off, or the league meetings, I'm sorry. And so Chris Ballard doubled down on something, and maybe we'll have a hot take on that. But it's live, and we about to have a good time. And for that, before we start that, we got to do that. Sammy, bang that.
Turn up your volume. Because you're about to listen to The Sick Podcast. And Bill Show.
Intercepted! Marlon Jackson! Marlon got it! We're going to the Super Bowl! We're going to the Super Bowl! Marlon Jackson with the interception! He picked off Tom Brady!
The sickest Indianapolis Colts podcast. It's gonna be sick.
Go ahead and bring in that other guy. One guy called off tonight. Apparently his throat hurts and wah, boo boo and all that other bullshit. But that's cool. Let's officially start this thing.
What's going on, everybody?
Talking through my anvil, you know the rules. But anyway, you act like you have been here before. Don't talk through my anvil, sir. Thank you much. But anywho, while we have your attention, please like, subscribe, follow on all the things. That is YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, the X. And you can find us on the X at, where can they find you, country?
Big Country Colts on X.
Big Country Colts. And you can find me at Colts Clyde on the X. Okay. So here we go. We didn't sign L'Jarius Sneed. Oh, but somebody did. And that somebody that did not care that they were in our division. Okay. Because seemingly here over the last couple of years, whether it's the draft, when it comes to quarterbacks, like last year, 3 of the top 4 quarterbacks that were on big boards ended up in our division. And then this year, seemingly all the players that are big names outside of a few ended up in our division and not on our team. And the latest is L'Jarius Sneed, who I have to address, Colts fans. We have to do a better job of being humbly honest. When we lose on the player, let's just lose on the player. I'm tired of people trying to count people's money. I'm tired of people saying, oh, he's super overpaid. I'm tired. When we lose out on a player, just say we lost out on the player. Now, does that mean you go throw your hands up and you quit being a Colts fan? Absolutely not. But you can be humble and honest. We lost out. For what he got paid, he's not even the top paid corner in the entire NFL. That's something that people don't want to talk about. Now, is he the best corner in the NFL? No. But at the same token, he is a very damn good corner. He gave up his worst game all last year. 5 receptions, 76 yards to Devontae Adams. He didn't give up a touchdown all season. He made a hell of a play in the playoffs and in the Super Bowl multiple times. He's never been an all-pro. He's never been a pro bowler. But nevertheless, the man has a certain dollar value, and maybe it was too steep for us to pay, and that's okay. Let's just humbly accept we lost out. So all the stuff I've been seeing on, pages and laughing at the Titans and all this, that seems like a whole bunch of hate. Had he came to Colts and we got him for that same deal, there have been very few people saying that we overpaid. But, everyone else would have said that we overpaid. The bottom line is this. I didn't pay him, you didn't pay him, and nobody that's a Titans fan paid him. That organization paid him. Now, whether he pans out or not, that's yet to be seen. But in this case, corner was a need for us, and seemingly that was the guy we wanted. And we lost out because either we couldn't foot the bill or the bill was too much. Now, I'll open the door with you. How do you feel after the smoke is cleared? Mind you, before he signed with Titans, we were all excited a week and a half ago thinking he was coming our way. So I want us to keep that same energy tonight and not just be like, oh, well, what? No, it is what it is. But how do you feel now that the smoke is cleared?
Here's my thing. So, how can I put this nicely? We don't know what goes on behind the scenes of these front offices and these organizations, right?
Fair
You
enough.
have to leave it. You have to leave it there. All the clickbait that you all see, everything that happens on social media that you hear about this and that, we don't know what Ballard's truly up to.
Fair
Even though
enough.
we've interviewed Ballard numerous times, who's to say he didn't offer him anything? Daniel Hunter was another main thing today. Stephen Holder said we offered him more money, but the Texans probably offered him more guaranteed money. That's just a guess of his. But the thing is, who says we didn't talk to the man or his people? Who
Well,
says
remember,
we didn't do this? Who
who was
said
it,
we didn't do
Schefter?
this? We didn't do that.
Schefter
Yeah.
said we had no interactions. I'm going to believe
I mean,
Schefter.
yeah, I believe in Schefter on that part. I'm saying as a whole, like we don't know what's.
I got it.
And again, why was it that we didn't talk to Snead and his people? Why was that? We'll never know that. That's none of our business.
Okay.
You have to trust you have to trust the process. Did we? It's like you said. Is he this great talented cornerback? Absolutely. But is he this savior? No, absolutely not.
Okay.
We got to.
That's fair.
I mean, I see what Ballard's doing. He's trusting in our guys. I mean, we'll look to the draft like we always have. He's one of the best drafting GMs in the league, obviously. But you know what? We don't know what goes on behind the scenes. That's all I'm subbing up to. That's what you got to keep it at.
Okay. So I won't debate that too much. I think what I'll say to that, and I'll kind of leave it at that, is the fact that that was sure enough a need, and we didn't address it. Safety was sure enough a need, and we haven't addressed it yet. And the issue that I have, this is the biggest issue that I have, is that we only have one first round pick, and that's 15. And then our second round pick, as it sits now, is 46. I get tired of hypotheticals. People say, oh, well, we can do this and we can do that, and we'll maybe not. But the moral of the story is you're not going to fill all of those holes with one pick, not even two picks. And there's things that have been said. Let's go to the tweets. So let's start with, I think they both were kind of Stephen Holder, but the first Stephen Holder tweet was, now shit, did I lose it? I fucking lost it. Hold on. Let me go back to our
Omaha yourself, buddy.
Hey, facts. Hey, look, hey, I'm not above approach. I will Omaha the shit out of
That's
myself. But we do have it in our group chat, so I'll go there. Okay. So it said this was Stephen Holder yesterday. Okay, so it says the single biggest reason the Colts have basically run it back with their rosters because they are convinced Richardson is a difference maker who can help them take a leap. That has come through in numerous conversations I've had in recent weeks. Again, that's Stephen Holder. So there has been so many pitch scenarios that, hey, you're only as good as the weakest link on the team. So last year we point to the defense being the weakest link in the team, when in all actuality, the Colts were one of the worst third down teams and a whole bunch of other things. And so for that, you're saying, okay, well, the defense is on the field much more than the offense is. And the defense had a couple great games, but you know, you can debate that like, okay, we played great against Carolina, but it's Carolina. Excuse me, stuff like that. So I say that to say, now bringing Richardson in for basically his rookie year, not saying he's not going to be a difference maker, but you're saying we're good enough, maybe with an addition or two, but we're good enough to run it back with the same dudes and have greater outcome. I don't know if I believe that. I just don't. Another year in the scheme, sure, but I don't know if I believe that.
That's what I'm saying. The talent, the player talent is there. I think we have the players to do it and to be consistent with the players. It's the coaching. We have our offensive guy now. We're going to trust in Shane probably to the end of time until his time's up here, until until something happens with these wild ass fans that just want to bash him for every little thing. That's a whole different story. But defensively, I was always taught as a defensive player growing up, offense wins games, defense wins championships. It all comes down to defense in the end. You got to change schemes in game time decision. Period. We've seen Gus not do that. So I was actually telling one of our guys that's sick before we hopped on that I think it's going to be Gus Bradley's make or break year this year. I think it really is. If he still does the same bullshit schemes, does all the same bullshit plays, he's gone. But the talent's there. That's why we re-signed all of our guys. Is what I'm trying to say. The
But
talent's
see,
there.
I think this is my issue too, right? Like those then become scapegoats to me. Like, so you say like last year, Chris Ballard was like, "Hey, well, we're gonna run it back with Gus because basically we said certain things such as, well, yeah, we're gonna go young at corner." So I'm kind of giving the guy a bit of a disadvantage by drafting corners, and they have to learn the scheme and this and that and the other. Okay, fine. Say what you want to say, mean what you say. But the same token, I'm saying like to then go to your point, I don't. If you fire the guy, I think we brought him back because you got to save face. If you're gonna let this guy go, you got to bring the dude back that basically had more to do with him going than anybody. So this is saving face for me. But I say it's also a scapegoat if all of a sudden we get the same exact outcome we had this previous year and say, okay, well, now it's time to fire Gus Bradley. No, you knew this shit was shit. So you might as well just run it with him until you don't run it with him no more. Because to me, that's a scapegoat. Ultimately, if you don't do anything to improve the team, which here's where L'Jarius Sneed, I slightly think, made way too much sense
Excuse
for
me.
us to pass up. We play heavy zone, and he's probably the best, if not one of the best zone corners in all of football.
Mhm.
That's the problem that I had because we're not asking him to come in and just be like, I remember back in the day, I think it was Nnamdi Asomugha. He was the best corner at that time in the NFL. He was Raiders. He was a straight man corner. That's all he was. Went to Philly, had to learn how to play zone, and he was terrible. He was out of the league before you can even remember he was the best corner in the league. And so I say that to say we wasn't bringing him into a situation that was going to make him uncomfortable. This was the perfect fit. He was the perfect type player. Maybe, like you said, maybe not some all world, he fixes all, but he was the first perfect schemed player for what we do. And we didn't, we didn't land him when seemingly we should have. But then people say, well, we wouldn't have had enough money in this and this. Well, where were our priorities? Because I feel like we made other guys priority before making that a priority. So
Mhm.
two things can be true. Again, I'm not Chris Ballard. I'm not going to pretend to be Ed Dodds or anybody else in that room because I'm not. And so I'm not trying to one up or think that I'm smarter than them. And sometimes people, when they debate these ideas, the cop out answer is, oh, well, he's way smarter than you could ever be. Absolutely, when it comes to football. But it's not
Mhm.
as if I'm not watching football or going to these games and seeing like this is a fucking problem too. Like you got to give us credit for what we've actually witnessed. And so for me, that's where my issues were with what didn't happen. The paycheck part, I mean, people can debate that left and right. But again, when you give them really logical reasonings, you don't sit here and say, "Well, I've done this amount of work and you know what? I'm not going to negotiate what I think I'm worth." That's a two-way street. Nobody tells you what
Absolutely.
you're worth, right? Like, I get it. They're the GM and there's the owner, and they're the ones that the owners gonna ultimately pay you. But for you to go in there and to be quiet and pretend as if you don't get to say what, no, that's not enough for me. That's insane. Like, I don't understand how people think negotiation works. So whether that contract and the number is what the number is, and the number is only going to be higher a year from now, 2 years from now, 3 years from now. You're only the highest paid player for that long. Next year, cornerbacks that are fucking on the market and needed, they're going to be commanding more money than L'Jarius Sneed. And the year after that, and the year after that. That's just how the fucking shit works. So
Got
I
to
don't
keep
know why
working like
people,
that.
yeah, I don't know why people get caught up in, ha ha ha, you overpaid. If this dude comes in, has another season like he had, and whether or not that team is successful, he's done his job. That's
Mhm.
the key. Like, I get it. You win as a team, and ultimately the end result is a team result. You're fucking absolutely right. But nobody ever goes into the draft or the offseason and says, oh, we need a corner. Oh, this team needs a safety. And don't mean, oh, this team needs a corner. Oh, this team needs a safety. I'm saying that to say you pay that dude to do his fucking job. So win or lose as the success of the team is not measured on that one guy. But you can say, well, at least we know he ain't the problem. Because guess what he didn't do?
Mhm.
He didn't give up any touchdowns. He made clutch plays, but ultimately we couldn't make that third down in that game. That's why we lost. We missed a field goal in that game. That's why we lost. So you're looking at individual performance. That's what keeps you getting contracts. So I think we missed here. Okay. And I mean that in the most humblest way. I don't think it's detrimental to our season. I don't think, oh man, throw your hands up. The Colts don't have a shot, but we missed in a major way for what we needed. And ultimately, drafting is not going to solve all these issues, because whether or not he does some critical things in the draft, like I've said before with Pat, these kids still have to learn how to be pros. They have to learn how to play on Sundays. They have to learn the difference of the game speed and everything else. So it's still a journey. L'Jarius Sneed don't have to learn none of that. He needs to come in and learn what the calls are, but he knows how to play NFL football. You see what I'm saying? So that's the difference for me. I think that's where I sit with the L'Jarius Sneed thing. I'm not. It's not a detrimental thing where I'm shutting down and like I'm not a Colts fan. Some people. I'm not calling for Chris Ballard's job. I'm not doing none of this crazy shit. But I feel like we seriously missed here, and that can be something that. And you never try to do this, but you got to fucking live up to it. If we play them in a tight game, must-win game, and L'Jarius Sneed is the guy that's guarding our best, and he's shutting our best down, you're not going to pretend as if, like, fuck, that didn't matter. It mattered. if Michael Pittman can't get open in the clutch game or whatever the fuck it is, and we're locked up our best against him, he's their best, and he wins, you're going to have to go back and do some soul searching, because that's what you would have paid him for. That's just my thoughts on L'Jarius Sneed. So yes,
fair enough.
I don't think I'm upset. I think I'm slightly frustrated that the prioritization and what we actually needed and how this corner would have came in and helped the young corners and maybe took that off of the board of draft this year is where we missed. Fuck the numbers. I'm thinking about this dude's a 2-time Super Bowl champion. He's played in big games over his entire career. He's been in the moment. He knows what the moment feels like, and he's actually defended the best.
Mm-hmm.
What other parts of the resume do you want? And everybody starts to now they cherry picking, of course, the contract. They cherry picked, he's had knee injuries. I'm gonna use air quotes. Look, man, if you just don't know how to say we lost, or damn, I wish we would have got this guy, say that. To start cherry picking the guy on some shit that hasn't really been a significant issue for him not to get paid is bullshit to me. Straight up. Like, I don't like shit like that. So if he had knee injuries a couple seasons ago or whenever the fuck it was, it didn't stop him from what he's just accomplished over the last 2 years. So stop the bullshit. So that's my thoughts on L'Jarius Sneed. So let's transition to the to the division. Now, they've been active. The Texans been active. The Jags been active. And hey, if you really want to be honest, we were very active. We signed multiple players to the tune of $180 million-ish. Mm-hmm. Our players just didn't come from outside of the organization. So, pre-draft feelings, how does the division look to you as far as pecking order?
I really don't have no particular pecking order, like in general, but I mean, there's so many key things that we could use. We could use good depth. We could use some good starting players at a lot of positions. But I mean, it's just the best person for the best part of the draft that we can get, if that makes sense.
But I'm saying, like, right now, who's the best team pre-draft in our division? That's what I mean. So the pecking order is
I'm sorry, I misunderstood the question.
No. Like how would you rank the division 1 through 4?
Oh, okay. Right now, sadly, first Houston.
Okay, true.
Because I mean they made it damn far. Probably us at 2, Jags at 3, Titans at 4.
Okay. All right. So I'll say offense sells tickets, defense wins championships. And for that, I believe that also defense takes time to build. Like, defense doesn't happen overnight. I think you could be way more explosive on offense overnight than being all of a sudden the greatest defense overnight. I just feel like there's many other things that go into that. So for that, I think the Texans are number 1 because to me, they're more complete on both sides of the ball. And even though they're young, primarily on both sides of the ball, you're only as good as your last outing. And so right now they're the number one team in our division because they won it. I kind of did the same thing for the Jags the year before. Until they fall off the hill or continue to grow on the hill, they're going to have the same spot. Coming in at 2, honestly, because I feel like the last 8 games were a fluke. I'm going to say the Jags. Now, I know Trevor Lawrence's story. People compare him like, look at the numbers. He's no different than Daniel Jones. Okay, fine. This, that, and the other. But overall, as a team on both sides of the ball, though they lost some pieces, they added pieces. And I feel like consistent play, and they've been doing this for a couple years now, gaining momentum at the end of the season 2 years ago, winning the division. Gaining a little momentum at the end of the season 3 years ago, winning division 2 years ago, and then having the collapse that they had this year. But they started strong. I feel like they just kind of met a wall. They were a young team. They couldn't figure it out, and the rest is history. But I think that they, on paper, are the second best team. And then I walk into 3. 3 is us. And it's because we're basically driving all of our momentum off of potential. Potential can be a lot of things. It can be a force, or it can be a crippling thing because you have decided to be somewhere mentally, and this is going to get it done. And then when it doesn't, you're looking at yourself in the mirror like, well, why didn't it happen? See what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of potential. And last but not least, I think it's the Titans. And this is no shot at the Titans, but I feel like for what they are still piecemealed. So the Titans are expecting basically all this shit to come together overnight. 2 brand new corners, though they are battle tested. New defensive pieces. A couple pieces here and there on offense. You get Ridley coming over from the Jags. You still got Hopkins. You lose your fucking offense basically for the last 8 years in Derrick Henry. And so you're basically changing your identity. Brand new coach, even though 2 teams in the division last year had brand new coaches in Houston and in Indy. But I'm saying I feel like they still have to go through those growing pains too. And oh, by the way, I get it. Will Levis is their guy. But I'll just say that. Okay. But and they have a lot of shit hanging on him, and a lot of people are buying into who he is as a person. And I'm looking at what he is on the field. I don't care that he won a poker tournament. I don't care that he seems to have, ice in his veins when he's playing golf. None of that shit matters. Is that shit
going to care that he puts mayonnaise in his coffee?
Yeah. Is that shit going to translate to victories? And if not, who cares, right? We swept him last year, though we only played him once because I think the first time Tannehill was still the quarterback. But we swept him last year, so I feel good about playing the Titans right now, honestly.
You hear that, Sammy?
Yeah. So, I mean, I get it. Hey, off-season wins go to every other – and I want to – this is my thing. I don't even know if I want to completely give that up because a lot of people say, hey, we're winning the offseason. I mean, you're signing the more notable guys. You get L'Jarius Sneed, you get the corner from Cincy, you get Calvin Ridley in Tennessee, and then you go to the Titans. You go to the Texans, they get Danico Autry, they get Daniil Hunter, they get a couple guys from the Titans, or the Jags, basically we just been swapping. It's like somebody who has an ex-girlfriend, now it's my turn. Like they just trading players.
Hasn't that been crazy, bro?
It's like super weird.
All the division trades and leaves or signings, crazy.
Sloppy seconds, bro. I don't know about that, but these are solid players. Let me not completely downplay it. It's kind of sloppy seconds, though.
It's very much sloppy seconds.
Kind of gross, but we'll see. We'll see how it goes. So again, here's another thing, right? So here's Stephen Holder reporting that at the meeting, Chris Ballard basically doubled down. All right, he says different is not always better. Ballard said from the NFL meetings in Orlando. So, I mean, here's the thing that I have with that. And this is what I really mean. That may be true, but like Chris Ballard has never showed us different, truly different. Like he's stuck to his approach from day one. That is, I draft these guys. if they perform, I pay these guys every now and then. And I ain't gonna say every now and then. He has sprinkled some vets here and there, but the true only move that has been made that was not a draft day move, well, and it was a draft day move, but that was trading for DeForest Buckner. So what I mean is that's the only player of impact, I would say, that he's brought into this organization that he didn't physically draft. Right? He hasn't traded for anybody during trade deadlines or anything like that. He hasn't, well, Stephon Gilmore, but Stephon Gilmore was, to me, over the hill. So we brought him in as a free agent. Let me not downplay that one either. Somebody has started like checking certain names off the boxes, so I'm sure that's coming. Fact check me. But I'm saying like, hey, these are the top-notch guys this year, and we signed one of those. I don't think we've done that. And I get it. All signings to hear Pat's voice and his sore throat and all. All fucking free agents aren't made for every team. Totally get that. And I've never preached that. All I'm saying is if you feel like you've built a pretty solid core, sprinkle the pieces that you need in free agency. That's what it's for. Mm-hmm. So I felt like before we ran out of enough money, there's a couple guys based on contracts and knowing what they are now that still could very much be there and be core guys. And we would have had L'Jarius Sneed money too. I mean, I'm not saying this, but it's a punter. Dime a dozen. Love Rigo. No hate to Rigo. Tyquan Lewis, glue guy. But he's actually probably missed more time than he's been effective. Not trying to shoot no hate to him. I mean, and there's several other guys I can go down the list that were like, yeah, okay, yeah, okay, yeah, okay. But the big three, Kenny, Grove, and Zaire was unexpected. But who'd you say?
MPJ.
Michael Porter. Oh, MPJ, duh. Yeah, so Kenny, Grove, MPJ. Knowing their numbers, all three of them could have been signed, and we could have brought L'Jarius Sneed in. Easy money, not a problem, based off the numbers. Just leave that there. That's not to open that door again. So sticking with the pecking order, that's where I got it. Currently, I'm gonna say the Texans, because ultimately I feel like they have the best quarterback in our division as it stands right now. That's just not even up for debate. I mean, look at the numbers, look at the efficiency, look at the success. Yep. Then I say the Jags, then I say us. Titans last, just because I feel like all their shit got to come together. So they have more potential to ride than we do at the moment, because at least we know who our guys are. You know what I'm saying? Our potential is go out and be better than you were. Their potential is, hey, I brought all these pieces in. Do they actually work? Do they actually mesh? Can we actually get victories now that we got all these random pieces? That's the difference. But by the way, I will give Ron Carthon tons of credit for what he's doing, making tough choices, not bringing Derrick Henry back, number one, cutting some guys, number two, then going out and signing big name guys, and then still sitting on $45 million to still do damage if need be, or save some of that for the future. Dude is killing it. So in that sense, you'll be a fool not to recognize what they're doing. So I'm going to give him his flowers straight up. I think that he deserves that. Now, let's move gears a little bit more. So more that I just read. This was an update from Travis. So check this out. So the Colts actually offered Danielle Hunter more money than the Texans, who Hunter opted to sign a 2-year, $49 million deal, $48 million fully guaranteed. And so this person is saying, I'm assuming the Texans offer Hunter more guaranteed money plus the benefit of no income tax and living in his hometown and blah, 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 blah. But the more you know. So like I had said last week, I think that based off what, and again, I'm not even taking Stephen Holder at face value for everything, but he is an insider, and, I'm going to give the credit and the credentials to where they need to be. But he had mentioned we were either or, all in on Hunter or L'Jarius Sneed. So going back to Adam Schefter now, just kind of like backtracking, him saying there was no movement between Colts and L'Jarius Sneed at that moment means that this report probably has way more weight to it, that we actually tried to nail Hunter first. And I would leave that to be the 100% truth, like completely. So, I mean, you again, you never know what you know until you know, and a lot of times you won't know, and that's the frustrating part of this being what we are, fans. You know what I mean? So let's talk about these meetings a little bit more. Two things that have come out: no more hip drop tackle. So how you feel about that? Being a defender that you once were.
Fucking stupid.
So they played a tape where there were some significant injuries, right? And I know it's football, injuries are part of the game, it happens. But had that tackle, because remember, right? We got to go back to the horse collar. That only became a thing because injuries were starting to happen, and the most memorable one was probably T.O. He missed all those weeks, and he ultimately made it back for the Super Bowl, but he had broke his foot. So they outlawed the horse. What do you call it? Horse collar.
Yeah, horse collar.
Now they take this away, but they looked at Tony Pollard got hurt this way. One of the Raiders running backs got hurt this way. Of course, one of the big ones probably was Baltimore's tight end. What's his name?
Mark Andrews.
Mark Andrews got hurt this way.
But I think that one was the nail in the coffin.
I think so too. And unfortunately, marquee players are what drive change. I mean, you got to go back to way back. Bernard Pollard, the strike below the knee that was heard around the NFL when he took Brady out for a whole season. I think that was the 06-07 season or 07-08 season, one of those. Whenever that season was, straight to the kneecap, Brady's done week 1 of the season. I think that's 05-06. Yeah. And then what you got? The next year, guess what you can't do? Can't hit below the knee because you take out a marquee player. And I'm not calling Mark Andrews, let's say Travis Kelce, but Mark Andrews was definitely super important and vital to Baltimore's success. So, I feel like that, like you said, was probably the camel, or what is it, the straw that brought the camel's back. And so, I mean, how do I feel? I get it. As a defender, it's hard. You can't put hands on guys. Basically, everything is a penalty. You got to actually really focus on how you tackle a person, where you hit them, because those plays are the plays that actually change games in a negative way. Like, you think you made a great play, and it's actually 15 yards and automatic first down, and now you lose the game, So to now have to be thinking about, fuck, how do I get Travis Kelce down? Fuck. How do I get, Derrick Henry down? Like, shit, it's going to be tough. Thinking on the fly, and you got, oh, by the way, Derrick Henry coming at you at 200 and what is Derrick Henry? 245, 260, somewhere in there. He's between 245, 260. It's 6'4".
Yep.
Can't hip drop him, so maybe I'll just get my fucking head crushed. And he'll go for an 80-yard touchdown because fuck. Business, right?
I mean, I guess. I mean, at this point, I mean, the GMs might as well start drafting fucking turf monsters.
Hey, you need some assistance.
Definitely have to learn how to tackle shoestrings. Better take them some bitches down. That's all I gotta say.
So then let's move on to another change, right? Next change. Now, sometimes, and I feared this, having multiple football leagues sometimes produce good idea fairies that other football leagues want to try. And I say that to say, now we have adopted basically the XFL/USFL kickoff rule. This, to me, I get it. Safety first. You got fucking people running each other. Those are like car crashes. I already know all the science behind it, the sports science. I get it. All the concussions and everything else to come. I totally get it. But this shit looks like a gimmick. This is going to be hard to accept, that you got your kicker basically on the other side of the field by himself. He kicks this fucking thing off. You got 10 guys that are basically like within arm's length of each other. He kicks it to the landing zone where the one returner man is going to be. And nobody moves basically until he touches it.
Yeah, or until he makes contact with the ball.
It's insane. So here's the thing.
And then you can't hit him under 10 yards. That's what that red line was.
I didn't even know that part. Wait, what?
Yeah, Yeah, so that red line that you've seen in all the videos, that's like the safe zone. So like if you go past that and hit him, it's a penalty.
So you're basically
So
saying,
it gives them a chance to make a play. Is basically what that's for.
oh my God, that's see, I didn't even
It's
know that part.
stupid.
Now that's a lot. I thought it was just, hey, nothing happens until he touches the ball. But to let him so you're basically forfeiting what, 15 yards?
Oh, absolutely. If
Because
not more.
I think the minimal start line is a 30, right? So every
Or
drive
in
off of
the
a kickoff,
UFL, yeah, I believe so.
like that's supremely detrimental because
It is.
I'm never gonna say that special teams is part of the game. Period. So I guess what I'm getting at is if you kick the ball off after a score and a person decides to return it or they muff it or whatever, there's always that chance that we can get them, to start at the 10 or below. That's out the window. Basically, every drive is 70 yards now instead of being 80 yards off a touchback or 75 yards like it's been the last couple of years because I think you started like the 25 or whatever the fuck it is. We're just, bro, giving Pat Mahomes 70 yards is way different than a Pat Mahomes who's already good at going 85 yards. You know what I'm saying? Like, you just made it easier. So so my thing is, then why have a traditional punt? Because, well, I mean, I get it. That's line of scrimmage. Maybe that's slightly different because everybody's lined up very close to each other. The big hits will come off of. Well, no, because big hits happen on punts. I don't know, bro. I don't even know what the fuck I'm saying.
It can, yeah.
I feel like you're very much devaluing special teams. Good luck, all special team coaches. Because
Yeah.
if this works, I feel like they'll do something to change the punt too at some point. It's very interesting. So what's your thoughts on it?
So here we go, just real quick, just to give everybody a kind of a recap of what this is. So the ball is kicked from the 35-yard line, same as the current rule. Safety kicks would be from the 20-yard line, same as the current rule. And then alignment of the new rule is all kicking team players other than the kicker will line up with 1 foot on the receiving team's 40-yard line. Kicker cannot cross the 50-yard line until ball touches the ground or player in landing zone or end zone. The 10 kicking team players cannot move until the ball hits the ground or player in the landing zone or in the end zone. So they don't have to necessarily touch it. That was an old rule of the XFL. I apologize for that one.
Oh, okay.
The receiving team will line up as follows. Set up zone, a 5-yard area from the 35 to the 30-yard line, where at least 9 receiving team players must line up. At least 7 players with foot on the 35-yard line, retaining line, with alignment requires outside numbers to hashes, and inside hashes. Players not on the restraining line must be lined up in the setup zone outside the hash marks. All players in the setup zone cannot move until the kick has hit the ground or a player in the landing zone or end zone. A maximum of 2 returners may line up in the landing zone and cannot move at any time prior to or during the kick.
Oh man. The fact that you had to read all of that is way too much. So good luck coaching that shit up this year.
Oh, what? Hang on. Okay, so I know some people were asking about onside kicks and stuff. So here's the miscellaneous part of the rule of the new rule. No fair catch or signal is allowed. Officials will blow the play dead. If conditions cause the ball to fall off tee twice, then the kicker will be allowed to use a kicking stick to keep the ball in
kicking
place.
Stick?
Like what they use to practice on the side of the field with.
Wow.
Like when they're kicking into the net. Yeah. The closest covering official will pick up the stick immediately after the kick. Onside kicks. Now, I've seen this a couple of questions in the comments here. Onside kick. 4th quarter begins. The team trailing has the opportunity to declare an onside kick to the officials. Current onside kickoff rules would apply. If onside kick goes beyond the setup zone untouched, kicking team is penalized for unnecessary UNS, whatever that stands for. Return team would start the drive at the 20-yard line.
I don't even. Okay, you know what? Good job, NFL, for confusing the fuck out of everybody. So for that,
What? A bullshit? A bullshit. A bullshit.
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 Bull. It's
Because I have
fucking
no
bullshit.
idea what the fuck and when the fuck. So we'll just leave that there. What the fuck, when the fuck. Now, I will say this, my boy. Another thing from the presser today, Chris Ballard speaks, switching gears now. We know we need to add, and there's still some vets out there that we will definitely pay attention to. There's still work to be done. No question. We got work to do in the secondary still. So see, it's even that admission to the truth that gives all people who've had any kind of discrepancy with what we have done or haven't done. That's what gives them the leverage to have it, is because we are still saying this shit after potentially having the opportunity to bring in those players. And this is my, I won't say my issue, but this is my thought on that. Because people will say the next word they can't wait to say, especially our guy, Pat, patience. But it's not about patience. It's about understanding. So if you can go get the corner that really, really, really shows he is a guy that fits your system, because there's no doubt about that. L'Jarius Sneed, as we mentioned earlier, would have fit our system, and he is a proven player. Okay, he's only been in the league 4 years, and he's playing the Super Bowl 3 of the 4 years, winning 2 of them, doing his job well. That's who the fuck I want to sign. Don't give me the over-the-hill guy. No offense to Stephon Gilmore. Been there, done that. And oh, by the way, you don't get younger, so he's 33 now. Maybe Xavier Howard. Maybe J.C. Jackson. Maybe there's other guys. Maybe. But these guys, even at their experience levels, have not been in those situations. Give me the guy that's going to make the Zay Flowers play the play of the game. Give me this dude. Again, that's my position here. So if we know that that's a position of need, and that guy instantly improves that position of need and the team as a whole, not that you sell out and give him the entire castle, but you don't sit here and say, basically paying him what his franchise number was over a period of 4 years was too much. That was the franchise number. 19 mil was the franchise fucking number. That's what people be killing me with. Like the numbers, and Chris Ballard out of his own mouth has said that the franchise numbers are what they are. So if $21 million was what Michael Pittman number was, that's what we were going to have to franchise him and pay him if we wanted to keep him, regardless if we feel like he's a number 1 receiver or number 2. His franchise wide receiver tag number would have been $21 million. And for this, the L'Jarius Sneed's number was $19 million, flat out. And that's what he's averaging over his 4 seasons. Yeah. Makes no sense to me. So while we got a few minutes before I got to jump off here, Sammy, do we got any questions that come up? Maybe we can roll through a few, or any comments that we want to roll through. Quandre Diggs is still available. My guess is if we sign any secondary, it's going to be him. You make a good point, Peyton. My only thing with that, Quandre Diggs will be 33 years old this year, which makes him a stopgap as well. Yeah. Got to look at that. Next, what else we got?
We don't have a whole lot of questions today.
Oh, no? Oh, shit. I'm looking at I was looking like they about to jump up off the page, but okay. Well, good point, Peyton. Sorry that.
Yeah, great point.
Great point, Peyton. If a lot of questions didn't pop up, that's on me. I don't know. Are we doing a good job advertising lives now?
Maybe. Let us know in the comments how y'all still like these lives, y'all.
Yeah, facts.
Let's hear that. Let's hear some feedback in the comments.
I definitely know that the first night we went live, we advertised that. So maybe we got to get back to that. I know people are busy. It's been a long day. Might still be working. Might be in bed already if you're fucking Pat or this guy. I don't fucking know. So it's almost 9 o'clock Eastern, almost 8 Central. So I get it. But just make sure that you do tune in afterward, because you can always rewatch on YouTube while you're subscribing and or telling a friend. Definitely can find us on Facebook while you're following and or telling a friend. So Fran, do your thing. You got any closing remarks, man, before we get out of here?
No, man, just still an interesting offseason. We still got a lot of offseason to go, got the draft to go. You know, I'm excited to see what the future holds. I'm just, you know what, man, honestly, I'm just ready to get back at it. I'm ready to get out to the Lucas Oil Stadium and tailgate and get game day ready, cook some good food. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, facts. All that sounds great. It. You're right. I'm missing it. All that sounds great, but I also want to end those great tailgates with W's. So players make that
That too.
happen. And again, like I post a lot on our social page, primarily Facebook, and I'm usually I'm usually leaving a lot of things up for interpretation. So I'll say things like thoughts, or I'll make like one of the emoji faces that means like, what do you think about this, or are you wondering about this, or whatever it may have you. And I do that because I really love and fan engagement, but I don't want anybody to think that I am being the negative source of the team. That is not me. I will say this though. I am going to be the one that keeps people honest, right? Like I have a pretty solid noggin for memory, so I'm going to always keep these mental receipts. And what I will say is I don't like to be the told you so guy. But anybody that says, "Oh, they paid too much," and ha ha ha, you're basically saying because we didn't get them, you're hoping that person fails, and that's not right. And ultimately, if they do succeed, then he wasn't a guy for our team. That's bogus. Players play, man. You know what I'm saying? Players play. Deion Sanders at his time was the best cornerback in football, and it was non-negotiable. I use him for example because whether he was a man corner or a zone corner or whatever, it didn't matter. Any team would have loved to have him. He was that good. Am I calling L'Jarius Sneed fucking Deion Sanders? No. But what I'm saying is, for what we have brought back and what we have known this defense to be, mind you, most sacks last year. For us, anyway. To steal a quote from Titans defender Justin Simmons, let me help you. Help me help you. I mean, so basically, he was happy to get L'Jarius Sneed because, like, look, I've been tearing shit up front for years, and we've been getting our ass beat on the back end. DeForest Buckner could have probably said the same shit. That's all I'm saying. Fucking Zaire Franklin had big eyes and, all these other things for a lot of reasons because he wanted those guys to come. So this is my thoughts, man. Like, this ain't just fanfare, Clyde. Look at what your own Indianapolis Colts players were saying to the potential of a L'Jarius Sneed signing. They also wanted something like that to happen because they know that was a position of need. So let's not get crazy here. And no, free agency is not over, but the L'Jarius Sneed free agency is over. And there's not a corner out there left, in my opinion, that is as good as him and has been in moments like him. And we can draw the line there. And with that, Sammy, you can wrap it up for this week.
And that's a wrap. Hope you don't miss us too much until next time. Follow the Sick Podcast and Bill Show on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, Google Play, and Apple Podcasts.